Hello, welcome back to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all the places you can find me should be linked in the description box below this video. Here on the channel you'll find me chatting about my adventures in knitting, spinning, crochet and weaving, all of the fibre related things. Today's video is day 2 of our 12 cast on adventures 2022 and I am not feeling the best. If you watched the video yesterday you'll know that I've woken up today with a really sore throat. I'm feeling a little bit achy and just generally a bit wiped out. So yeah, if I seem a little bit less energetic than usual, I do apologise. I'm also in a little bit of a stress panic mode at the moment because I realised that I need to do some work this week, which I was not expecting to do. A whole lot of waffle at the start of this episode, but if you've watched my Vlogmas, you know we had family visitors over the Christmas period and I packed my office away, my diary away, and I realised this morning I woke up in the middle of the night and it clicked that I should have done the December Fibre Club for Yarn and Yarns last week and I haven't done it. So I feel really bad about that because people who purchased that were expecting it to go in the post last week. So at some point this week I've got to sort out the bats and the rolags for that. But I don't think I have the energy to do that today, which is also stressing me out a little bit. There's literally nothing I can do about it. I'm just trying not to panic too much. And I'm going to apologise to you if the next few days of cast-ons don't see too much progress between feeling sick and having some work to do. This is not how I envisioned this week going, but hey, we can't do anything about it. Anyway, let's stop waffling. I'm hoping that the dice today are kind to me and have a nice simple project, maybe like a hat or some socks or something that doesn't require a lot of thinking from me because I'm not sure that I'm capable of it, but we know how fickle the dice can be. So yeah, let's see. I'm even more apprehensive about this today than I was yesterday, so let's see what the dice have in store. So I got number 20, so I've picked the card out and I've done the same as yesterday. I can't see what's on the back yet. Number 20 is a cute snowman, so let's reveal this together. Ooh, okay, random pattern book. So this one should be quite a fun one. If you watched my 12 cast-ons last year, you know that I ended up knitting my Staviness Tory hat using this same method. I have a whole bunch of pattern magazines and books over, I'm looking over there because they're in my little bookcase over there, and I am really bad at actually using them. So last year I did a random pick. I just went over, picked out a book and then flicked through the book and found a pattern to cast on. So we shall be doing that again, which actually has me still a bit apprehensive but also quite excited. We'll see what happens and hopefully I can maybe pick a smaller project. We shall see what yarn I have. So yeah, I mean basically I'm going to randomly pick a pattern book and then I'm going to flick through, see like based on what I have in my stash what project from that book I'm most likely to be able to cast on. So let's do this. Okay, so I'm here in front of my shelf with all of my magazines, pattern books. I've got pattern books on the bottom and more sort of magazines on the top, so I'm going to go for something from the magazines. Mostly pom-pom, also some Shetland Wool Week, some Making magazine in here. Last time I did this, I turned my back to the shelf and randomly picked a book. I'm not going to bother doing that because literally I have no idea what's in any of these, so it doesn't really matter. I think I'm just going to close my eyes, grab a issue of this, and we'll see what we get. You'll have to just trust me that I've got my eyes closed. Right, let's go for this one. What have we got? Oh, it's Shetland Wool Week, and I'm pretty sure last time we did this we got another Shetland Wool Week because I ended up Staviness Tory. I still can't quite get over the fact that I got another issue of Wool Week. Maybe it's because these are slightly taller than the pom-poms that they just want to jump into my hands. I don't know. I've got this random marker thing on the front cover marking absolutely nothing. I do remember really wanting to knit this sweater on the front, and I think I even at one point got some yarn, but then when I looked properly at the pattern, this is an older issue, I think, yeah, 2018, I realised that the sweater patterns in here are not super size inclusive, and the biggest size in this pattern is like one size smaller than I'd usually make for myself. Part of me is still tempted just to cast it on because I tend to have a sort of looser knitting gauge, but I'm not sure. I don't know if I want to take the risk. I guess I could gauge swatch. But yeah, oh, I've just opened up. This is sort of a menu. Menu. What do I want to say? An index? I don't know, of all the patterns. So it looks like there's some fun options in here. So let's take a look. Always the Shetland Wool Week have a sort of hat pattern every year, and this one is the Merry Dancers Touri. That uses how many colours? 1, 2, 3, 4 colours. So that could be a definite possibility. It's Jamieson and Smith jumper weight, which I don't have, but I've got quite a bit of spindrift in my stash, and it just uses 125 gram ball. There is the sweater. So tempted, you know, so tempted, but we cast on a sweater yesterday. We probably shouldn't cast on another sweater. There's some colourwork mitts, which are the sort of convertible mitts, so you can sort of push the flap off the top to free up your fingers. They are quite nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different colours. So yeah, I've definitely got that in my stash. I don't know if I fancy those though. I did knit myself a pair of convertible knits once in the past, and I've never really worn them too much, so I much prefer a fingerless knit. There's a hat, the Inar hat. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, and actually that's quite nice. It uses 1, 2, 3, 4 different colours, and while I wouldn't necessarily pick the colours that they've picked in the pattern here, I think I could definitely work from my stash for that one, so that's a possibility. Oh, that's nice. The Fula Snood. Beautiful colourwork snood. Don't know if I'd have the yarn for that. So that uses 4 balls of the jumper weight, which is, although technically I guess you could substitute 100 grams of any yarn in 2 colours. It depends on how much they've actually used of that sort of 4th ball. Because each one of those balls has got 115 metres in, so that's more than your average 4-ply 100 gram skein. So yeah, that's really nice though. Looks really cosy. Tempting, tempting. Well, this is a good one. There's another cardigan, which it's very pretty, but I don't like, it's got a bit of a weird neck line for me. I think it goes up really high. So, and again, the largest chest size in here is 50 inches, and I usually do 52 for me. Another pair of mittens. They're quite cute with some garter stitch detail. What yarn does that use? Again, 2-ply jumper weight, 5 colours, maybe. Ah, okay, I remember these, the Lunar mitts, and I believe, so they're a lace pattern, and I believe they use lace weight yarn. They do. And recently I accidentally spun on my spindles some yarn that ended up being lace weight, and I have no idea what to do with it. It is more variegated than this yarn, although this yarn's got quite a nice heathered tone to it, so I don't know if the lace would get lost. Interesting. Okay, that's a possibility. Oh, I love this hat. So this is called the Atlantic hat, and it's kind of like a berry type style. This is, I think, the nicest picture, but it might be, there we go. I'm trying not to show you any pattern instructions. And there's another picture of what it looks like. Ooh, if I can get there. I quite like that. It reminds me of my rice lip hat, a woolly wormhead hat that I knit from handspun. How many colours does that use? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's got quite a lot of colours in it, but I do have quite a lot of colours of single balls in spindrift, and this is a spindrift pattern, so I wouldn't be able to do the colours in the hat. I don't think I've got that blue, but I could certainly look to see what I've got. That is also very tempting. Anything else? Oh, autumn mitts. They're really pretty as well. They're a sort of simple wave colour work, and again they use quite a lot of colours, but I could definitely use some sort of variegated yarn for that, or a like mini set or something. Oh, there's so many tempting patterns, I don't know what to do. And then there's a cowl, which also looks really nice, but somehow less tempting. And then one more pair of mitts. Is that the last pattern? Those mitts are deceptively simple. They still use quite a few colours, but they look like they use less colours because the colour shifts are a bit more subtle. Ooh, lots of food for thought in this one. I think I'm going to have to switch off the camera and go stash diving and see what my options are, and then hopefully that will help me decide. Okay, after a ridiculously long time thinking about this, I think I'm going to try using my handspun for those lacy mitts, see how it goes. I have got 50 grams of this yarn, so I might need to adapt the pattern a little bit. I'm not sure how many meters I've got. I will wind that up and see. This uses just one 25 gram ball of the lace weight from Jamieson's, which is 194 meters, so hopefully I should have plenty. This was a wool silk blend, I think. Greens and blues. So yeah, I think we're going to get this wound up and see where we go. I'm excited. I did pick out, just so you know, I did pick out a potential colour palette for the hat. I've got quite a lot of neutrals, so I put together a palette of neutrals with a pop of yellow and a pop of orange, but ultimately it came down to the fact that, as I've already mentioned, I literally have no idea when else I might use this what is essentially lace weight yarn, because I'm not a lace weight knitter. I don't often enjoy I've only knit a couple of lace weight projects before, and yeah, although I'm happy to knit 4-ply forever and a day, this is just one step too fine for me. So yeah, I think I'm going to go for it. My cat is so funny. The only thing she wants is tummy tickles, which I've had other cats that would literally claw your eyes out if you went anywhere near their stomach. But you try and touch her anywhere else and she's like, no, rub my belly, rub my belly. She is a loon. As I was winding that, it felt like it was never going to end. 50 grams and 480-ish metres. It's well after midday now, and I haven't yet edited together the footage from day one vlog, so I need to go and do that. So hopefully I can get these cast on as I'm editing. We'll see. Where is this day going to? Oh, and I also need a nap. I'm so tired. It's 2:30 in the afternoon. The light is absolutely abysmal today. It has not stopped raining outside, so overhead lights have to be on. I've spent longer than I had anticipated editing yesterday's video, and mostly because my brain is not engaged properly. But while I have been sat editing sort of between bits and pieces, while I've been like waiting, and if I haven't had to do anything with my hands, I have cast on the mitt. I know, not much progress, but it's very fine yarn, very fine. And so it's proving to be a little bit of a challenge to my addled brain today. But I've done the little garter cuff, and I'm at the point now where I can launch into the lace panel. I need to go and take a nap. So this is not going to be the most exciting cast on vlog, I'm so sorry. But yeah, it's just how it is today. I'm waiting at the moment for my video to render, so all the editing that I've done needs to be sort of squished into a new file, and that's going to take my laptop 40 minutes or so to get that done. So while that's doing, I'm going to go and have a little sleep, and hopefully I can reinvigorate myself a little bit, and then I can come back and hopefully enjoy a little bit more knitting time. I'm not sure these needles, these are Knit Pro Zings, I'm not sure this is the best needle and yarn combination, because as I say, this yarn is very fine, and now I'm going to be embarking on the lace work, so I'm going to be slipping stitches and knitting them together and things like that. I may need to search out some other needles. These were the ones that I had to hand this morning. I'd really like to try and find my higher sharps if I can in this size, but I haven't seen those for a while, so they might be on a languishing project. I might have to go and rummage through some of my project bags and see if I can find them, because I think these have got quite blunt tips. And while they are perfectly lovely needles, I think it's going to be a little bit frustrating to work the lace work with these. So yeah, we shall see what happens. I decided to cast on the large size for these mitts. I'm not sure if that was the best decision or whether these are going to be a bit too big, but time will tell. Time will tell. I had a little hunt around trying to find my other needles and I haven't been able to find them, but I have decided, as I was drifting off for my little nap, that I'm actually going to frog this and cast on a smaller size. Let me just slip this on for you. This is stretched out around the cord a little bit, but not too much. Let me just push it back up. You can see, I think this is just going to be way too big. So my gauge, obviously using completely different yarn, is way off. At the moment I've only done a few rows, knit a few rows, so I'm just going to rip these out, and I think I'm just going to cast on for the smallest size and hope that that one is a little bit more appropriate. So yeah, with this cast on we're going backwards rather than forwards. But there's still plenty of time in the day. It's 4 o'clock now, so now that that's off the cord, actually gives you a much better idea. It's not being pulled out at all, and there's just way too much room in there. So yeah, let's recast on with a fewer amount of stitches. I've relocated to the living room. I've managed to catch back up to where I was before I just pulled out all my stitches, so I'm ready to start the lace panel again. I'm just going to pop something on the telly. James has got another hour or so of work left before he comes and commandeers the remote control, so I'm just going to relax and see how I get on with the lace. Could be a challenge, but mostly just because of where my head is at. It's 9 o'clock at night and I managed to knit 1.5 pattern repeats on my little mitt. This light and this angle is not going to really show the pattern and the yarn up very well, but I did take a little clip on my phone which I think shows the variegation between the sort of greeny blue tones in this yarn and also highlights the pattern a little bit more. I think you can slightly see it. I'm going to have a love-hate relationship with this project. I think I'm going to love the finished objects, but this is just reinforcing how much I don't like knitting with lace weight yarn. It's just too fine. It's just too fine. It'll be worth the effort though, and as I said earlier, I think I am really glad that I found a use for this yarn that might otherwise have sat in my stash for quite some time waiting for me to come up with something. This is so soft, it's unreal. I did find a picture of my spindles fill up with the singles of this yarn, so I might pop that in here too because that's quite fun. I don't think I ever chatted about this finished skein because I finished it back in November time I think, and I didn't really do a wrap up for November or December for my making. So yeah, I spindle spun on my support spindles, spindle spun the singles, and then plied the yarn on my e-spinner. I would like to try and knit a little bit more on this. We'll see how it goes. I've got to do 4 pattern repeats of the lace before I do sort of like the next instruction in the pattern, so maybe I'll try and get those knit tonight, but that might be a big ask because I'm feeling quite tired, and even though I had a lie-in and a nap today. So yeah, we'll see. You'll find out in just a moment because I shall be back again in the morning to chat to you and share my final thoughts and the final progress, if any, that I make on this project. Good morning, welcome to my Wednesday. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who has already watched the 2 videos that I've popped up in the 12 cast on series, first doing my little wrap up and then my first cast on yesterday. And thank you to everyone for the well wishes when I mentioned yesterday that I wasn't feeling so great. I'm still not 100%, but I'm not feeling too badly either. I can definitely hear it in my voice. I'm kind of congested in the sort of throat area, but I've got no swelling or anything, so I was a bit afraid that I might have tonsillitis because I'm quite susceptible to that, but that doesn't seem to be the case, touch wood and all that. I've been drinking lots of hot water with honey and lemon and I've been alternating it with what I'm drinking now, which is elderberry and echinacea tea from Puka. So yeah, lots of liquids, and yeah, I'm feeling a little bit brighter today. One of the things that's helping me to feel brighter is all of the lovely projects that everyone has been casting on. So before I share with you how I got on with my project yesterday, my new cast on, I shall shout out some of the people who've left comments on the videos over the last couple of days. Rachel has started quite a few projects. She's making a crochet blanket from some deep stash yarn, a Musselburgh hat, 2 pairs of socks, and is also casting on her first cardigan, which is amazing. Well done, Rachel. And I also noticed today that Rachel had popped up a comment to say that one of the pairs of socks that she cast on has now also been finished, so that's amazing. You're doing a fabulous job, Rach. Kate has started some leg warmers. Kate started quite a few projects. She started leg warmers, a slipaway cowl, an exordium shawl, an exploration station, and an all squared up shawl. And her all squared up shawl is using some mini skeins that she dyed herself back on a little retreat in November, which I just think sounds amazing. So well done, Kate. Mary started a new cast on Christmas Eve, the Shetlandic sweater, and she's using some lovely yarn from Susan Crawford, which just sounds amazing. I've never tried Susan Crawford yarn. Is that the Exalana? I'd love to give it a try at some point. Claire has started socks, 2 pairs of wrist warmers, an Aran cowl, a double knit cardigan for her granddaughter, a scarf for her husband, a half and half shawl, and a temperature blanket. That sounds like an amazing variety of projects, Claire. I love that. You've got something for everyone by the sounds of it, and also a good variety of different things to keep you busy and that you can switch between. So yeah, brilliant. Beverly has cast on some socks, which are going to be her bed knitting, which just sounds amazing. I need some bed knitting. Lisa has started an anthology throw, and this is my lovely friend Lisa, who I did the Advent swap with if you watch my Vlogmas videos. And Lisa sadly is not on social media at the moment, but she keeps sending me lovely pictures of the throw that she's knitting, and she's knitting it from the yarn that she spun from the Advent fibre that I gifted her. So yeah, it's just such a thrill for me to see that shawl or that throw growing as she's knitting it, with all of the yarns that she spun up in December. Anita of Gaga Knits, I shall link Anita's channel below, has started a pair of short and sweet fingerless mitts using some lovely yarn from Craft House Magic, Ellie. Kate has started a Halu sweater, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, Halu, and is using some really precious deep stash yarns and baby alpaca, she said. And I just love that, because that, as I say, really ties into why I started the 12 cast ons, which was to use some precious deep stash as well. So I always love it when folks let me know that their cast ons have inspired them to have a rummage through and use what they already have. Jenny has cast on some vanilla socks. I'm hoping the dice might be kind and let me cast on some socks at some point, but we shall see. Sylvia has started some simple crochet with some beautiful new Christmas yarn that she received. Deb has started another charity project. I think I mentioned yesterday that Deb's planning on casting on 12 projects for charity, and has started her second garter ear flap hat and is trying to use up lots of leftovers, which is just brilliant. I'm always trying to find ways to use up my leftovers, but sadly I'm also generating new leftovers all the time. So my little baskets of leftovers never seem to really go down any, but hey, that's just the way, I guess. And then last but not least for today, Dee has started her cast ons, and Dee let me know that she has been trying to collect some yarn to work through the sock patterns in the Liner publication, the 52 weeks of socks, and I believe that she's trying to collect the yarns that were used in the patterns themselves and kind of knit through using the yarn specified in the book. So Dee has started a pair of intersection socks, which are by the lovely Mars of Hey Brownberry, and if you've not watched Mars's channel before, you really should. She has such a lovely energy, and it's always a joy to spend time with Mars, so I'll link Mars's channel below. And for that, Dee is using some Patterns Croix sock yarn, which is one of my favourites, so yay. I love that. She's also started the Sweet Chicory socks, which are the next pattern in the 52 weeks of socks, and has cast on today which might be yesterday by now, I don't know, time, it's a funny thing with these videos. But yeah, she's also started a single malt sweater, which is going to be a pattern for her husband, and that's a pattern by Maxim Sia, and I love that pattern. I'd love to make that pattern for myself at some point. Okay, with that, I think I'm mostly caught up on the comments that have been left so far. Again, I will get round to properly replying to everyone. I'm doing that slowly but surely. Appreciate the time that people take to leave those comments, and I want to take the time to reply. And yeah, I will get to that as soon as I possibly can. Right, let's check in with where I got to on my lunar socks. I've got socks on the brain now. My lunar mitts. And I don't think I actually mentioned yesterday, although you might have seen when I held up the book. The pattern is by YarnNYarns. I didn't quite manage, surprise surprise, to knit the 4 pattern repeats that I boldly claimed that I might be able to get to last night at 9 o'clock at night. Who was I kidding? But I have now done 3 pattern repeats of the lace work, and I think we've got much better light this morning, so I think you can probably hopefully see the beautiful lace design starting to show up. These look teeny tiny, don't they? And they feel so delicate. Lace weight is just amazing like that. It's just so light. But yeah, it's not changing my mind in terms of my enjoyment of knitting it. It's just too fine. But despite the fact that they look really tiny, they have got a good stretch to them, and they are going to fit. So there we go, proof, hopefully. We shall see. I think they'll stretch even over the widest part of my hand there, so there should be no problem with the fit for these. Did I say yesterday? I might have said already yesterday, you have to apologise, that I think this is going to be a bit of a love-hate relationship with this project, in that I'm loving using my hand spun yarn. It's always a treat, isn't it? If you're a spinner, you know. I'm thrilled to have found a project to actually use this yarn for, because yeah, after I'd finished the yarn and realised that even after washing it was a lace weight yarn, I was a bit like, this yarn is gorgeous, but I have no idea what I'm going to use it for. I know that this is going to be like a product knit, as in I really want the finished object, but just the knitting with the lace weight is just not so fun. I mean, it's not horrendous, and I think the fact that these colours are beautiful and they're sort of subtly shifting, as they often do in hand-dyed, hand-spun yarn, it's kind of taking the edge off the fact that this yarn is so fine. But yeah, ultimately, like, knitting with lace weight is not my favourite, but I picked the project, you know, I had other options, so I only have myself to blame. Yeah, given that I was feeling quite rough yesterday, and given that this is quite sort of delicate knitting, that the lace pattern is fairly straightforward, but obviously you do have to concentrate on doing your knit 2 together, your slip stitch knits. And my brain wasn't really there yesterday. I am quite pleased with the progress that I made. If I'd have been feeling better, I probably would have made a lot more progress, because it's like only 50 something stitches on the needles, so the rounds are quite quick. Let me show you the back of the mitt as well, so you can see that colour progression. All of those lovely, beautiful blues and greens. I don't know if I said yesterday, but the fibre was from Wildcraft UK, and it was their rock pool colourway, and it was a mix of wool and silk. I don't think the wool breed was specified. I'm not sure where the label is at the moment, which gave the details, but if I find it before I finish editing and uploading this video, then I'll make a note, but I'll put a link to Wildcraft's website down below the video too. Final thing to wrap things up, I'm keeping it in this beautiful bee project bag, and it's one of the sort of knot style bags, which has a handle that you can sort of pull through and transport around, and this bag does fit in that copy of the Wool Week annual, although I can't close the knot. when the magazine is in there, but that doesn't really matter. And this was made by my lovely friend Julia, Mindful Magpie. This bag is absolutely covered in spinning fluff because it was housing one of my Turkish spindle projects for a while, so I needed to get one of those lint rollers onto it and tidy it up a little bit. Right, okay, I think we have come to an end. I needed to find my number 2 stitch marker that I haven't done yet, so I need to find that and pop that on there, and then I can feel like my day 2 is complete once I've done that. And so I will say goodbye for today. Please continue to let me know in the comments below what you've been casting on. There's lots of people who've been mentioning that they're getting ready to cast on still. A few people saying that they're working on their whips before they cast on. A few people saying that they've decided just to work on their whips and they're just cheering on those of us who are casting on this year. So that's absolutely fine too. I love hearing about what you're working on. So whether it's a new cast on or whether it's a work in progress, please do let me know in the comments below. I need to switch this off, find my number 2 marker, and then get ready to start all over again for today's project. So I hope you will join me for that video, which for you should pop up tomorrow, hopefully, fingers crossed. But until we do get to spend time together again, I hope you get to do some of the things that you enjoy. Great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now. Bye.